I am a pretty big goal-oriented person. And historically, as a bank business, every January, we also ask all of our staff to
Yeah.
give us their goal. We want their ideas.
Oh, sweet.
So we actually bonus back $250 for any idea that we implement.
Nice.
This
That's
year, out of
cool.
65 employees, we probably got 30 suggested ideas
Nice.
for the bank, and we're probably implementing 20.
Oh my gosh.
We'll bonus out $5,000 to these people to get their opinion and idea.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Blueprint. I'm Courtney Cook, founder of Monarch COO, where I help mission-driven entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Each week, I sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs to explore the stories behind their successes and challenges. Whether you're just dreaming of starting a business or already building one, this podcast is here to show you that entrepreneurship is more attainable than it might seem, with insights for every stage of the journey. Dave Hill is the president and CEO of Mid-America Bank, a thriving financial institution that has grown from an $8 million rural bank into a $465 million powerhouse under his leadership. With a deep passion for community banking and a sharp eye for strategic opportunities, Dave has spent his career transforming the way financial institutions serve their customers. Through a focus on profitability, growth, and talent development, Dave has led Mid-America Bank to remarkable success, all while maintaining a commitment to strong relationships and local service. With decades of experience in banking, leadership, and business growth, his leadership philosophy centers on education, trust, and long-term strategy, key ingredients that have helped him build a financial institution that prioritizes both its customers and its employees. Dave enjoys giving back to his community, mentoring future business leaders, and continuously looking for new ways to innovate in the banking industry. Let's dive into today's conversation and see what it takes to build a business. Today on the podcast, I have Dave Hill from Mid-America Bank. So Dave, will you just do an introduction for us?
Sure. Yes, I'm Dave Hill with Mid-America Bank. I've been the president, CEO for the last, basically since 1997, I guess you'd say, when we started the bank. And I've been in banking since 1982. So that's starting to add up to quite a few years. What's about 42 years, I think.
Crazy.
43 years this January. I actually started on Kansas Day in 1982.
Oh,
so
wow.
I keep track of that as my anniversary.
That's a really fun way to remember it. So
It is.
how in the heck did you, or I guess how and what made you decide to start a bank? Because when I learned who you were, I'm like, wait, how do you even start a bank? Like, this is crazy. Like, what an undertaking.
Well, like I said, I've been in banking for 43 years. This is basically the third bank that I've worked in. So I think I had a lot of banking experience, and particularly small town banking.
Okay.
So a lot of small town, what I call community banking. I started out in a really small town of about 500, Opie, Kansas. And I was there for about 5 years, then went on to Norton, Kansas, and was there for about 10 years. So, rural, small Kansas towns. And that really gave me a good banking foundation. The great thing about working in a small bank is you do a little of everything. You learn every aspect of banking. And of course, small town banking or community banking is definitely very community and people driven. Definitely, I'm sure, quite different than larger city banking, so to speak. But anyway, I've got a lot of banking experience. And then I actually moved from Norton, Kansas to Baldwin City and moved there in 1995, started a mortgage business, brokering mortgages, did really well with it. It went actually better than I anticipated, but I could see the need to, I was really lacking the ability to do land loans, lot loans, construction loans. And that was such a big opportunity. And I was actually kind of having trouble packaging them up and getting other banks to understand what I was doing. So I basically thinking about it, I don't know, somehow I found out about a little bank in a very rural community, Esmond, Kansas, probably a population of about 200 people that had about an $8 million bank in the community that was for sale. And so, I've always, I graduated from college and I like to say I had $500 in my name because that was a graduation gift. So I was pretty able to keep track of that. It was pretty easy to keep track of. I kind of graduated from college with that type of start, and then saved as much as I could just because that's the way we were taught and raised, so to speak. So we saved money, but I still, from a banking standpoint of the ability of buying a bank, starting a bank, I was extremely capital short. But to start a brand new bank at that time, my understanding was it would take about a minimum of $2 million of capital. And today I understand it's more like the 4 to 5 million range. And you very seldom see a bank true startup from, getting a charter and starting out ground zero. And I'm sure if you had to come up with the $4 or $5 million of capital, it'd take you maybe 3 years to become profitable. So it's definitely a long, hard process. So the route we went was we identified a really small bank that had probably been on the market for a couple of years, and probably it was so rural and so small that didn't gather a lot of interest from anybody. But it was an $8 million bank. And in round numbers, the way our industry works, that $8 million would have been in what we call total assets. And the capital to get that bank basically required about $800,000. So roughly 10% of your total assets and capital is a good round number. By regulation, it's not quite that high, but in reality, to make it work, 10% is a good place to be. So yeah, we identified this $8 million bank that we could buy for $800,000. And, on top of that, the seller was pretty motivated because they were elderly and no succession plan. So basically, they just said, "Hey, we want to sell," and I was interested for the reasons I'll get to in a few minutes. But they agreed to. We basically said, "Hey, if you would allow us to put $320,000 down and carry us back on the remainder $480,000, then we would like to, buy your bank, so to speak." So basically, we structured a pretty creative purchase. They did a 10-year finance for us on the 480, and we put 320,000 down. And at the time, I was a 40% stockholder in the bank. So that was all the cash I could come up with, was 40% of the 320. So that was everything I had, and so forth. And my financial statement at that time, net worth under $1 million. So not by any means a really solid financial statement. Just probably pretty good for a 37-year-old guy, but definitely nothing like what it takes to start a bank.
Yeah.
And really, to get our package through what we call the Federal Reserve Bank, we needed some financial strength, a lot more strength than what I had. So I was just one of 5 partners. Yes, I had a 40% ownership, but we had another guy that I won't mention his name, but he was a 40% owner, and he was the really strong financial person in our group. I mean, he had a very substantial net worth and a very high income. So his endorsement, or the fact that he was a 40% partner, I'm sure that greatly enhanced the approvability of our package. So, I'm just going to call the guy Bill. I owe Bill everything that I have today because his signature made a world of difference on our package. Of the 5 people, I was the only one with banking experience. And, really what it amounted to, I had another partner from Baldwin. He and I were partners in other stuff that we were working on. Mainly, we had an insurance agency at the time. So he and I owned an insurance agency 50-50. So I took him along on the bank venture, and but no banking experience there. Then I had 3 guys from Norton, Kansas that were all long-term friends and my backers so I got backed, you might say, from friends, family in Norton, Kansas. And one in particular, his financial statements, what got our deal through. So of those 4 partners, I still have 2. The other one is retired in full and one has passed away. So I basically I really am excited to say that, we've been partners with the three of us have been partners since 1997. We've had a
Wow.
great working relationship. And in all reality, we took this bank from, it's been a long journey. I can tell you the process if you have time, but we've
Yeah.
took it from $8 million to today, we're right at 465 million. So from
Wow.
8 million to 465 million in, basically, since 1997. So tremendous growth. We're now sitting with, we have 6 locations up
Oh,
and
wow.
running today, and our 7th is will be opening in May. And ironically, our 7th location is opening in May, and it's in Norton, Kansas, which is where my partners were, and the area that we love and appreciate. We love the people, we love the community. It's something uh, I'm not going to say they needed a bank to come back in, but they're certainly not underbanked. But we have a lot of customers from Norton that bank with us in Baldwin,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where truthfully it was about $17 million worth of deposits from the
Wow.
Norton community banking with us in Baldwin. So we wanted to better serve them. And additionally, we do specialize in real estate lending. I can talk about that in a few minutes. We specialize in real estate lending, and this is our give back to what we call Northwest Kansas, in that we hope that we can bring some good real estate lending products out to a more rural market and enhance their housing market. So sure, we're out there to make money, but that's a secondary mission for me. My real effort and interest in this is to provide their community with some great housing products and hopefully enhance their lives.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
so,
awesome. I have a quick question though.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt you because I'm curious. So, do you have to first be approved by the Federal Reserve before you can actually be called a bank?
Oh,
Or-
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So if you were doing a brand new startup, you'd have to get a charter,
Mm-hmm.
and your package would have to be approved by the Federal Reserve Bank.
Got
So
it.
obviously in
Okay.
this area, we work through a Kansas City office. It's
Yep.
quite a process.
I
Uh,
bet.
it's a very extensive process. The real key, I mean, this isn't something that you can just do. Um, it's going
Yeah.
to take a couple things. One, a lot of capital behind you. And again, I reiterate that I didn't have it at the time. And then two, you're going to have to definitely know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have to know the industry. So I like to think that you have to know the industry and you have to know your market,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to have some pretty good financials. But given
Crazy.
that, then what we did is a really great opportunity, and I'd like to think it's been good for everybody involved. The community the Esmond community that we started,
Mm-hmm.
we kept that bank in place from '97 to 2001. And in 2001, we moved our main charter from Esmond to Baldwin City. And that's when things really took off for us. And we made them a branch back. And since
Oh,
then, we sold the branch to a bank out of Beloit, Kansas, that really I have to commend. It was Guarantee State Bank. They did a great job of serving their community. They were better fit to serve that community and bank than we were, and I think they were a great acquirer of that property, and it fit their niche, and it had fulfilled our objective, you might say.
nice.
So having a charter is a big deal. Having a banking charter is the big thing.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So, what were you going to say? What were you going to say about the land aspect? Um, I think that's where you're going.
Yeah, well, yeah, I needed a bank to finance land, lots, and construction loans.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
so basically, we bought this bank, set it up, and we our effort has always been to be real estate lenders. So
Gotcha.
we basically took the bank, and we got it to the point where, we basically went from what I call startup to where we are today. We've established ourselves in Douglas County, which is where Baldwin City is located. We've been the number one real estate lender the last 15 years in this county. And every day we're competing with 23 other banking charters in the county that actually have about 52 locations. So one
Wow.
charter, it's possible they could have 3, 4 locations. So we have a lot of great competition, but we've been able to be really successful with real estate lending. And I feel like it's kind of this, you know, there are a lot of good bankers that know bank lending, and there are a lot of bankers that know mortgage lending, but there are
Mm.
not a lot of banks that really do both really well. And so that's where we try to specialize with. We have about 8 loan officers, and the hardest thing about our job when I hire them, I like to tell them, is really learning our products and knowing where to put people, because of course we always want to put people in the product that's right for them. And so you have to decide whether it's a bank product or a mortgage product.
Mm.
And when you have both of those worlds of finance at your fingertips, you can really put people into really good products. So, like today, for example, we're a $465 million bank, but we'll have what we call bank loans. Today, we're right at $362 million worth of bank loans. So those
Wow.
loans would be land loans, lot loans, development loans, construction loans, maybe rental property loans, those type of things. Those would
Gotcha.
be our bank loans. Then we also have the 15, 20, and 30-year fixed rate mortgage loans. And those are not included in our balance sheet. They're off balance sheet loans because we originate the transaction. Since we specialize in real estate lending, we actually do everything with that product. We originate it, we process it, we close it. We actually then sell the paper, but
Mm.
retain the servicing. So that's what people
Oh,
really like about us. We retain all the servicing. So obviously we service all of our bank loans, but we also service our mortgage loans. And we have an additional $475 million worth of mortgage loans. So between
okay.
those two numbers, we're really close to managing $1 billion worth of assets.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
nuts.
think by year end 25, between those two numbers, our bank size and our mortgage servicing, we'll be managing right at $1 billion worth of assets. And that's from startup in 97. So pretty proud of that number. We started servicing our mortgages in 2008. And prior to that, we were selling all of our paper and not servicing.
Mm.
But in '08, I felt like it might be good for us to start retaining the servicing. And when you service a loan, you don't make a lot of money, but you make roughly 1/4%. And 1/4% per 100 million is $250,000 a year. Well, I felt like if we could get to that goal, that money would at least allow us to keep our staff employed, our
Mm.
processing staff. Right now, we have about 9 people that do nothing but process real estate loans for us since we're so heavy into real estate. And these 9 people are so talented and such a crucial part of our operation that we can't let them, we can't hire when we need and let go when we don't need.
Mm-hmm.
So we just try to hire the best people, train them up, get them to buy into our system and philosophies. And we probably work them a little extra hard when we're really busy, and then they probably
Mm-hmm.
have a little lighter load when we're not that busy. But
Yep.
bottom line, we recognize the talent and the skill that it takes to do their job, and turnover is just not something that we accept very well. So we have
Nice.
very low turnover.
How
Uh,
many total people
Total people
across the
65.
board? Okay,
65.
wow. Do you have somebody that manages like HR across all of the locations
We
or
have
okay.
one HR person managing our 65.
Wow.
The bulk of our people are in Baldwin City because in round numbers, we have 9 people processing loans in
Mm-hmm.
one area. Then we have another area that services all these loans. So they're servicing, roughly $900 million worth of loans.
Yeah.
And we've got about 8 or 9 people in that department as well. So between servicing and processing, those are really big things. I really don't think the people in Baldwin have any idea what we do because, I mean, we've got so many people there that they probably can't quite visualize what everybody's really doing. But
Yeah.
when you are managing this many assets, and obviously we're a very highly regulated industry,
Mm-hmm.
and we take a lot of pride in getting through our exams in good shape and doing things right and compliant. So these are really important things to us. And to be sustainable, you just have to operate that way.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of people that really specialize in what they do. A lot of review type people. We have a couple of people that all they do is review work and to make
Wow.
sure we're being compliant. And
Wow.
then, so bottom line, 65 people, almost 20 people, just nothing but processing or servicing mortgages,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and 8 loan officers to make up our 7 or 6 current locations and soon to be 7. So, yeah, it's been a great ride. I am almost 65 years old, but I'm still I'm taking it every 5 years at a time right now.
5 years.
And I'm committing to our bank that as long as I've got my health, I'm going to work till I'm at 70 at least.
Yeah.
And I just thoroughly enjoy doing this. It's not work to me. It's really,
Mm-hmm.
it was work in 1997,
Yeah. Oh,
but
I
it was
bet.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
Building
Were
from,
you married, have kids? Like, where were you at personally and at that
yeah, it's a great
stage?
question. I left a really good job in Norton, Kansas in 1995 and to start the mortgage business at ground zero.
Wow.
And my goal, what I had told my wife was we'd hope to do 10 mortgages a month and just run a little small mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I like to tell people that, we opened up August 1 of 95 and I closed my first mortgage loan in December of 95. So you can imagine how much money we made in 95,
Yeah.
but,
Not
but
much.
really by 96, within a year, we were really doing well. And I know in even 98, we closed 150 mortgages in a month, about a 2 month period, 150 for about 2 months each. So we ended up building our business up to where we had about 8 or 10 people working for us in Baldwin, doing nothing but mortgages and processing paper, and developed a really successful, good mortgage business, had really great luck with it until about 2008 when everything kind of fell
Mm-hmm.
apart and we started losing contracts with mortgage companies because of the economic crisis the real estate industry was in.
Yeah.
So that's when I just merged the two together and I said, fine. I didn't even sell my mortgage business. I just merged it in with the bank, gave it to them. And
Gotcha.
then ever since we've been doing all the mortgage work through the bank and it's
Okay.
worked out great. I really love this business. I'll tell you why. It's like, you know, when you do the mortgage business, you can typically make pretty good fee income.
Uh-huh.
And if you're really busy, you can make pretty high income. So if you're really busy, you make high income. If you're not busy, you probably don't. But that coupled with a bank that is just a nice, steady, growing loan portfolio that has a lot of what I call residual income. I mean, when we book loans today for 10, 15, 20 years, I mean, when you book a lot of loans, you're getting residual income for, 5,
Yeah.
10, 20 years.
Yeah.
So, the combination is a really great combo. I want people to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
High income, but, but no residuals. If you're in the mortgage business, it's high income, no residuals.
Yep.
Whereas banking is maybe a lower income, but definitely good residuals. But you combine the two, I thought it was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've been a pretty high performer. If anybody ever looked at our numbers, I think they would see that we're well above industry averages. And it's not like our objective isn't to see how much money we can make, but our objective is to do the best job that we can do and serve the communities. And I like to tell our loan officers, our job is to educate and inform consumers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a matter of push to sell, it's push to educate and inform, let people you be the expert, educate people, teach them. And when you do that, you'll get that business. And we work off of repeat and referrals. That's been our biggest way to get business.
Yeah, I could see that. So would you say was 2008 like one of the most unexpected challenges in your journey, or was there another time where you're like, oh my gosh, I did not expect that?
2008 definitely was probably in my, I started banking in 1982, and
Mm-hmm.
1982 to 1986 were really trying times. But, because interest rates were, 16, 18%.
Yeah.
So I was a loan officer, but we didn't hardly do any loans, if that makes sense.
Yep.
You spent more
Yep.
time collecting loans, and that's not a bad way to start out in the industry. But
When you say
yeah,
collecting loans, do you mean you're buying them from other banks?
no,
Or
I
what does
mean
that
calling
mean?
up loans that had
Oh,
been made that went bad. You know what I mean?
gotcha.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's not all bad to have that experience.
Yeah,
Loan collections, loan workouts. Yeah, sure,
got
I
it.
did that. I did that.
Yep.
And I don't, and I'm not. It was a great experience. Great
Yeah.
experience. I mean, I've really done about every aspect of banking. I mean, I've been a teller. I've filed checks. I've looked at signatures on checks, stuff
Yeah.
that wouldn't never happen today.
Yep.
But I mean, every aspect of banking, I feel like I've done, and I think that's really important if you want to be in the industry. I mean, nobody really starts at the top and
No.
figures it out.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. I learned a lot of psychology of the consumer too, as being a teller. When somebody
Okay.
brings their $500 paycheck by your window, and like nobody gets a paycheck anymore, though. Of course, it's all like a deposit.
Yep.
But when they used to bring that check by, I always thought whatever they take for cash, they're going to spend. Whatever
Yeah.
they put in their checking account, they're going to pay bills with. And whatever they really put into savings truly has a possibility of saving money. So I've learned from that myself. And I know that when I get paid, if I want to save part of it, then I'm going to have to put it in savings and not leave it in the checking account,
Yep.
because the checking account is to spend and pay bills from my standpoint. But anyway,
Yep. Yep.
um, 2008 definitely was a challenging year. We were in a really lucky position as a bank that we didn't have much trouble with our loan portfolio. We had very few financial problems on our credits. So I can't say it challenged us financially, but what it challenged me with was not knowing what income we could expect to make. So,
Yeah.
obviously we did a lot less mortgages,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say this, and I think this is something really important to think about. We all need to learn that every problem creates an opportunity.
Yep.
So every time, we didn't have hardly any foreclosures in '08 through 12, through that bad time, so to speak. We didn't have very many or any, but a lot of other people did. And those problems created great opportunities. So then we started having people that were in good economic positions buying the foreclosed houses. So
Yeah.
personally, I'd never heard of a flip loan until 2008.
Yeah.
And that's when we started financing the purchase and
Yeah.
the remodel and then putting the house back on the market. So we'd say you buy it, you rehab it, you resell it. That's
Yep.
a flip. Or
Mm-hmm.
you buy it, you rehab it, you add it to your investment rental portfolio, and you rent it. So we did a lot of all that. In fact, I got a couple people that I'm really proud of, because they probably had no properties prior to 2008, and today they probably
And
own
now
50 properties.
that's crazy. They
And they
just took
started
advantage of
in
it.
'08,
Yeah. Yep. They're like,
and
here we go. Let's do it.
and those properties have really went up in value. I mean, probably in some cases
Oh, I bet.
doubled in value, and the cash flow went from X to 2X.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's drastically changed their life. It was good business for us. It's a win-win. It's good for us. It
Yeah.
was good for them.
For
And
sure.
really, so that problem of '08 created an opportunity.
Yep.
And for us as a bank, the same. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we were doing quite a few construction loans prior to '08, but I will also tell you that a couple of years before '08, fuel prices were getting pretty high. They're in the $5 range. In the market we were working in, we had a lot of commuters driving 30, 40, 50 miles a day to go to work. So the fuel prices hit them hardest.
Yeah.
And we backed off on our spec lending at that time.
Okay.
So we read a little into that, backed off on our spec loans, because people to live in our areas were spending everything they had just to get to work.
Yeah, exactly. It was so expensive. So I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit.
Great.
I would love to know, what was your childhood like? Like, did you grow up with entrepreneurs as parents, or have you expected the fact that you would be an entrepreneur, you would go out on your own and start your own bank, which is a massive feat? Is it a surprise or what was like,
You,
yeah,
you
walk
know,
me through that.
um, both of my parents, my parents met at Baker University, Baldwin City, Kansas.
Yeah.
And my dad grew up very poor, first person in his family to graduate from college. Not that college is the
Yeah.
license to success,
Yeah.
but he was the first person in his family to go to college. And he was a school teacher, later superintendent.
Okay.
And the really what, but if when the three of us kids, I have an older brother, younger sister, the three of us grew up in that household with two teachers, you might say, never having high incomes or high net worths. We had everything we needed, not necessarily everything we wanted.
Yeah.
And when it came to college, you're pretty much, they might help a little, but you need to help yourself quite a bit.
Yep.
Um, but the bottom line, we also saw our parents go from nothing to what we thought was a good life. And we thought it, and they got it from working hard, but also being good savers.
Hmm.
So we've always been able to tell the difference between wants and needs. I think we grew up in the household that like I said, we had everything we needed, not a lot of wants,
Yeah. Yep. Hmm.
and you know what? And I don't, and it was a great value for us.
Yeah.
So the day I graduated from college was my life drastically improved because I had a job.
Hmm.
I got to go out and start making money and living what I call a great life.
Yeah.
And but yes, truthfully, I've always had a job since I was probably 12 years old. I was throwing newspapers, I was mowing yards, I was
Nice.
working on farms, I was whatever. I worked my way through college. And my GPAs, I'm not going to talk about my GPA because it would not impress anybody. But I will tell you that I worked 30, 40 hours a week
Yeah.
going to college.
Nice.
And that's just what I had to do to keep the bills paid.
Yep.
And we grew up in a family that my parents never taught us to borrow money.
Yeah.
So if you wanted something, you had to save. And for college, we just worked our way through. I never had a student loan. And
Yep.
it's not that I didn't, I mean, some friends of mine had one. I knew how you could do it, but I don't know. We just, I hate to say it, but we'd work 30, 40 hours during the school year. In the summer, when you weren't in school, you'd work two jobs if you could, and
Yep.
you saved everything you could. We just saved. And I will say that I know right offhand, I bought my first car at 16, paid cash for it. My parents said, you can have anything you want as long as you pay for it. And as long as
Yeah.
you pay the insurance and gas, it's yours. So I bought a nice car. When I started college, I probably had $3,000 or $4,000 saved up.
Nice.
And I was just telling somebody the other night, my first year of college at KU, the tuition was $365.
Oh my
So, you
gosh.
know, it
Oh
really,
my gosh. $1
it
a
wasn't
day.
that, it was workable to work through the process.
Yeah. 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 That's crazy to think about. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, maybe I was making $4 or $5 an hour then
Yeah.
too, but by
You
the
still
same
saved a
token,
lot. Yeah.
yeah.
By the end. That's crazy.
But if you needed more money, you just work more hours and
Yeah.
just, do what you have to do. But yeah, I grew up in that type of household.
Sweet.
Again, they could have anything you wanted, but you
Yeah.
had to, it was your responsibility.
Yeah.
You'd get a lot of mental support. Now, interesting today, I mean, my parents, they just taught us so much without even trying.
Hmm.
But the hard work, the saving, and I know, my father's passed, but I know that he was shocked at our success. But I will also say that my brother and sister have had the same success in different
Oh, really?
fields.
Cool. Yeah.
So it's definitely a work ethic, ability to save and manage money.
Yep.
So, and that is a knack. And I can't tell parents enough how to stress that with children. And, a good work ethic and a good savings plan are just really important things, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So as far as 2025 goes, what are your goals for this year for Mid-America Bank?
That's a great question. And I am a pretty big goal-oriented person. And historically, as a bank business, every January, we also ask all of our staff to
Yeah.
give us their goal, or we tell them we're setting our goals. We want their ideas.
Oh, sweet.
So we actually bonus back $250 for any idea that we implement.
Nice.
This
That's
year, out of
cool.
65 employees, we probably got 30 suggested ideas
Nice.
for the bank, and we're probably implementing 20.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
so cool.
and they're some basic little things. I
Yep.
can't think of anything right offhand, but so we'll bonus out $5,000 to these people to get their opinion and idea. Some of them are really good ideas, and some of them are just like, well, it's not that big a deal, but it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
But bottom line, we always ask for other people's input, and then we have our own goals. And we measure our success at the bank in 3 categories. One, sure, we want to make money, income. And it's in our industry is such that if you're not making money, the industry really, you're, part of the being a good bank is you need to make money to have the growth and be sustainable. And it's one of the ways that we're audited or measured. It's one of the things that we're measured.
Mm-hmm.
I might be going too deep, but
No.
the word in our business, we're measured heavy on 6 things. And it used to be, we called it CAMEL plus. So it's CAMEL, which is capital, assets, management, earnings, liquidity, and rate sensitivity. Those are the 6 things that we look at, and we need to run our business in a prudent manner. And this is how we're monitored by our regulatory peers, and just really what it takes to run a good business. So being profitable is not, if you're not profitable, you're just not going to be sustainable. And you have to make money and set it back so you can get through the good times and the bad times.
Yep.
But so sure, we always want to make a certain return. And we in banking, we'll probably make, we call it a really good return. Our industry is about 1.2 return on assets, and we'll probably make about 1.5. That's how
Nice.
we'll end up being in those ranges. So income's one thing, but then it's also bank growth. So we're going to try to grow this year. Last year we grew about 70 million, which was an exceptionally good year. We're probably on track to do about 62 million this year. That's what our goal is. And I've never had a goal that was less than the year before, but we did just have an exceptional year last year. So I don't think
I'm
we can
surprised given
Yeah.
the economy. Like a lot of the businesses I work for, like we're happy if we're flat to last year, to be honest.
Well,
That's crazy.
we are a community bank, and we are actively working in our communities, and we're in growth mode.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we definitely are working for all this. Our people are working hard for all this.
That's awesome.
And then the third thing we look at, which is probably one of the most important, is growing talent. So we love it when we don't have any turnover, so to speak, and that we know that our talent or our team is getting better every year. And we have a lot of committees, and we might have a committee that only needs 5 people, but we might have 8 or 10 people on it. And it's not that we're trying to get people to go to more meetings, but really it's all about training and
Yeah.
building. So,
That's cool.
we want our people to know what their role is, but also how that role fits into the whole organization. So yes, you're out doing loans. That's what's making us money, or you're out getting us deposits, and we have to have the deposits to fund the loans. But we don't want you to know just your role. We want you to know how it all goes together and how it works. And it's a luxury that I had in 1982, was learning all this process, and it's made me what I am today. So it's what I hope for our team. It's not about 1 people or 3 people. It's about a really good team. So, we're training and trying to improve our talent every year. It's so important. To be really successful, it takes a lot of people working diligently to deliver good service. and build these relationships. And so that's just how we look at it. So
Yeah.
those are the three measurements for us. The three goals are yes, income, yes, asset growth, but yes, talent retention and growth.
I love how focused you are on your culture. Even having disparate locations, you don't have everybody in one place, but so it's good that you're so focused on culture and what you're doing for your teams and focused on low turnover. And then not enough businesses are. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. But we know that every role we have takes a minimum of a year to really learn it.
Yeah,
Now,
for
I
sure.
mean, I don't even care if it's the most basic job we have here. It's a year to be good.
Yep.
And I like to tell our HR people and managers, I said, we're not looking to hire average people.
Yeah.
We expect a lot. We need to pay on the top end, but we also want them to deliver a lot. We have high expectations. So not looking for average people. We want the best, but we also want them to deliver the best. And, and I do think we have a good culture. I think we don't have much turnover, and we've got so many people that have been here long term. In fact, 2 people working for us were with us when we opened our doors when we started. 2 of the 65. We started with 7 people.
Yeah.
And there are 3 of us left.
Crazy. Do you know your average tenure?
I don't. That's a great question, but I would say it's probably in the 8 to 12-year range.
That is impressive, Dave.
We've got we really can't afford to have 3 to 5-year employees.
No, and especially just to learn the lay of the land. You have better team. You have just so much better team output. I can't think of a better word at the moment to say because of that tenure. And then when you do have someone new, you probably have all hands on deck to get them up to speed and tons of resources for them to succeed.
It is a lot. We've added a lot of people because we've added 2 locations and now 3 in 12 months. That's probably been a little more of a challenge. I mean, it's definitely manageable, but our operations people are doing a lot of training, and you just can't train enough because there's so many situations. Then you want service delivered at a certain level, and then of course you've got regulatory things you need to comply with, and then you've got all the fraud stuff that comes with everything, and so you've got all these things to train up on pretty fast. So training is really important, and we're putting a lot of time and energy into that. And then once you get them trained, you just if they're the right fit and good, the people we want, we just can't afford to let them go.
No, yeah, that's great. So what's the most rewarding part of being a business owner?
To me, this is developed into my life, and I'm living my dream. And it's not necessarily the financial. I mean, the financial's been unbelievably good. I can't believe it. Can't believe how many financial problems I've created for myself because of the success.
Yeah.
But it's been great. I've even as busy as we've been, I've been able to go to all my family's activities, which is hugely important to me. I'm a very big family-oriented person. I think, and I think you might have been touching on it originally. When we started our business in '95, we put in so many hours of work, and I'm talking, 6 days a week. I've never tried to work on Sundays, but occasionally you do. But bottom line, lots of hours, lots of headaches, lots of risk. But you don't realize it. But at the same time you're going through all that, you're also teaching your family what it's like.
Yeah.
And I actually have 2 of my 3 children in the business with us, and they're highly successful players for us. I did make both of them go somewhere else out of college and work somewhere else for 5 years. So
that's awesome.
I said, hey, great. If you want to come back, that's fantastic. But you're not coming for 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
that's good. That's awesome.
So they both worked somewhere else for 5 years.
Cool.
The other one who didn't come back to work for us, we like to say that the one that couldn't make it in banking became a dentist. So
nice.
That's a pretty good profession as well.
She's still, doing a service-based thing too, and serving people in just a different capacity.
She ended up having her own practice and a lot of entrepreneurship,
nice,
which has really been fun for me to watch.
I bet.
Because our children after school came by the bank and
Mm-hmm.
spent the end of their day there until we
Yep.
went home.
Yeah.
And my son likes to say that he started out as a janitor and now he's the president of the bank. So he likes to say he's went all the way from, janitor to president. And it's the
Dumping
truth.
trash
I
to,
mean, they did clean the
I
bank,
bet. Yep.
Uh,
I bet. Oh, that's awesome. They
So
probably actually enjoyed that more than they realized at the time, but looking back.
I really think they did. And I think they learned a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
know they've all done cleanup and I know they've all done their homework at the bank. And I know the
Yep.
people working at our bank always probably enjoyed having them around to say something
Mm-hmm.
to, but it's, it's been a great, great ride. I've had a great life, a great ride. Uh, I'm not done. And in fact, I think I just told my daughter yesterday that I'm just having so much fun every day. I get to do exciting, fun things, meet with great people, work on great projects. Um, and we're making enough money now that we can donate money to different things that are highly important to us. And that would be things that are anything that we can do to improve other people's lives,
That's awesome.
particularly children, improve children's lives or help people get started in business. We do a lot of startup business, and it's really easy for us to do startup because we've been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes anybody doing a startup. I can just tell you, it takes real financial discipline, and yeah, it's a good time. I know when I started my mortgage business in '95. I didn't know how it'd go, so I made sure I didn't have much debt. So,
Yeah.
if I needed a copy machine, I either bought it or I didn't have one.
Yep.
I didn't lease one because
Yep.
I didn't need any monthly payments.
No.
But
Yeah.
just different business models that, it's been a
Mm-hmm.
great, great ride.
That's awesome. So, what's one thing you wish you knew back in 95 when you started your business or your mortgage business?
Yeah, great. Well, I don't know. That's a great question. I I I put in so many hours. I was never stressed about it, but I will also say this: the biggest motivator for me was fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you've been successful as a W-2 person working at a bank and you had a good job, and then you go out and go self-employed 100%, you work pretty hard out of fear of failure.
Yeah.
Uh, Financial failure was not an acceptable option for me because, you know, it just didn't feel like I could deal with that. So, when somebody called at 5 o'clock on Friday night and they wanted a home loan, we did a home loan at 5 o'clock on Friday night,
Yep. Yep.
and
No doubt.
you just do what you got to do, and you work out of fear of failure, and you never push off work for next week when you can do it today. So we always just worked as hard as we can, and it just really came really well for us. We were really, I'm going to say lucky, but the harder you work, the more luck you have,
Yep.
and it's been great. So I don't know what I wish I knew. Well, that's a great question. I do think I probably, looking back, our expansions have been really good for us. Us having 6 to 7 locations has been really good for us business wise. And I probably, maybe I could have started that sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I've had maybe some people working for us that I wish I could have provided more opportunity to. I mean,
Yeah.
my daughter asked me the other day about new locations. And I said, really, it's all about people. You being able to hire and retain people that will buy into the way we do business and
Yeah.
work the way we work.
Yep.
And that's the limiting factor. There's
Yeah.
plenty of markets, plenty of opportunities, but to really get people that, you know, we want our people to know product inside and out, and
Mm-hmm.
then be able to educate and inform people, deliver it, close it, and kind of, you got to do volume.
Yeah. Yep. That's amazing. So, how can people get in touch with you, Dave?
Sure, sure. Email would be a good way. My email is my name, obviously Dave Hill. My email is dhill at mid-americabank.com. That would be a good way because I
Awesome.
do try to get through my emails every day. The phone gets a little hectic and tied up. I'm on the phone. I'm still on the phone or doing email, 80% of the day.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And I typically start my day about 7:15, and I work pretty much till 6 about every day. That's just
Nice.
my standard day. And then I work a couple of, sometimes at home I'm working on something, but none of it's work to me. When it
Hmm.
becomes work, I will quit.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep enjoying it.
Which then it sounds like to me you probably never will quit. I
I
don't
just
know.
hope I have the mental capacity to be,
Yeah.
I hope I have the mental capacity to be a productive team player. I
Hmm.
was really pleased to turn the presidency of the bank over a year ago to my son, Jeff. And
Nice.
I really would never give anybody that position if they really weren't ready for it and fully
Hmm.
capable,
Yeah.
because failure is just not an option. And
Hmm.
think about what failure would do to somebody who maybe got this opportunity the way he did,
Oh, yeah.
genetically. That would be
Hmm.
devastating to mentally deal with. So,
Yep.
he took a lot. He was very good in college schooling. All came pretty easy for him. Then he worked as a bank regulator for 5 years. That was a great experience,
Oh,
the
cool.
best experience. In
Yeah.
and out of different banks every 3 weeks. That's a tremendous experience. But then and it's not about a few people, it's about a big team of great people,
Hmm.
and we're learning off each other every day. And the thing that keeps it exciting is that the economy and the economy changes, the real estate markets change. I mean,
Yeah.
it's every year is a little different. So it does keep it exciting and keeps it very, you have to be thinking all the time how to do more business or the same business.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just been a great ride. And now I'm sitting here as a father working with my three children
Yeah.
and working with 65 great people, and you know
A lot to be grateful for.
a lot to be grateful for. You're
Yeah.
right. You're
Yeah.
right.
But that's hard work. You earned every bit of it. And it's cool to see. It seems like you have like zero burnout. And it's just like crazy. The fact that you could maintain the relationships you have with your business partners. I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like it. So you should be commended.
I will tell you this: my business partners. In fact, I talked the two that I have. I mean, we have more. We have like five owners, you might say, but
Yeah.
I have two people that were originally my bank partners. Um, one of them is one of my best friends. I probably talk to him every other day.
Nice.
And, you know, I will just say that their investment went from this guy put in $16,000 and it's now worth about $3 million.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he kind of made the comment yesterday, this has been a pretty good deal for him. It's
Yeah.
been a pretty good deal
It's
for
a
him.
great investment.
Yeah, 16,000 happened to be his legal fee for getting us set up with all the business. So
Okay.
he put his legal fee in of $16,000. Next thing you know, it's worth $3 million.
Good for him.
It's good for everybody.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's so great because everybody's, the guy who was really our financial backer, he put in
Hmm.
160,000. He died in '08. He died in February '08. He was a great, great guy, obviously a little older than me.
Hmm.
But he fell over dead with a heart attack in
Mm.
February of '08. And I was glad he didn't have to go through the September '08 when everything was crashing.
Yeah.
Because he would not have lived like that life. But
No.
when I ended up buying his heirs out, his 160 from 97 to 2008 went from 160,000 to 1.6 million. So it went up tenfold
Oh my
in,
gosh.
in a relatively good time frame. So
Crazy.
yeah, it's been a really good run, but I would caution people from doing anything for mere money reasons.
Yeah.
Success in life to me is making a living at doing something you enjoy.
Hmm.
If you can make a living doing something you enjoy, that to me is success. And I don't care if that's mowing grass or working in a bank.
Yep.
If you love it and you can make a living, provide for your family, that is success.
Yep. It's so true. I love that, Dave. Well, thanks for joining me today. This has been really, really fun to hear your story. I can't believe I have somebody that started a bank on my podcast. It's nuts.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for your time, Dave.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Entrepreneur's Blueprint. I hope you found inspiration and insights to fuel your entrepreneurial journey. If you're looking for support in building or scaling your business profitably, visit my website or send me an email to learn more about how I help mission-driven businesses become more profitable, proactive, and efficient. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It really helps other entrepreneurs discover this show, and it would mean so much to me as well. Until next time, keep building, keep dreaming, and keep going.